Hi everyone, it's Dr. Andrew Layne with Layne Performance, and I want to talk a little bit about a discussion that we had at the gym, and it's about the word fitness. And fitness is one of those words that can get on my nerves a little bit because it has a very specific meaning in certain contexts, but it's become, as a colloquialism, it's become very vague. And so I want to discuss a little bit about what fitness is and how this discussion kind of played out. And then I'm going to get into a little rant on CrossFit, which is always fun, so kind of stick around for that. But the discussion was basically centered on the idea that the person who wins the CrossFit Games is known as the fittest on earth. And if you know me, you know that this is kind of a trigger point for me. And so when I'm teaching exercise science classes, one thing that I'll do to illustrate what fitness is and how we use fitness maybe incorrectly is I'll put up a picture that I'm going to put up on the screen right now. And here's this guy, and he's in his backyard in his sweatpants, and he's grilling out, and he just looks like some guy. And I'll say, okay, who thinks this person is fit? And no one will raise their hand. So then we flip to the next slide. Here's the same person sitting at a desk with Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, and he's signing a brand new contract. So this is Vince Wilfork, very good defensive end, is now retired. I believe defensive tackle. Now retired, and he may not look fit for what we think of when we kind of think of the word fit or fitness, but what is he fit for? He's fit for his purpose of playing football. So I re-asked the question after showing the slide of him playing football and signing this contract. About 90% of the class will then raise their hand. It's usually how it works. And so we're kind of reframing what this word fitness means. If I just point to someone and I say, without any context at all, and say, this is the fittest person on earth, in my mind, that doesn't make any sense. If we think about fitness as being fit for a certain purpose. For those of you who have listened to me on the fitness podcast, we discussed this a little bit, but fitness is basically a constellation of different variables. So you can be strong or powerful, or have good cardiovascular endurance, or be lean, or have a good physique, or be very flexible or mobile. There are all these different things, and these all kind of come together in something that we call fitness. But most of us are not going to be good at all those things at once. In fact, no one's going to be good at all those things at once. An ultramarathon runner is not going to be able to go up in a powerlifting meet and squat 500 pounds. A powerlifter is not going to be able to go to the bar and do a clean and jerk at a high level. If we look at CrossFitters, they have a lot of different events, and they have a very well-rounded, what we might call fitness. But again, if we have them go compete at a weightlifting meet, they're not going to do very well. If we ask them to go do powerlifting, they're not going to do very well. If we go have them run an 8K competitively, they're not going to do very well. But they can do all these things at a kind of a middling level. And so is that fitness? I would argue not necessarily. Now, if we get a little bit more abstract, when we think about this maybe in an evolutionary sense, we hear the word fitness in that sense as well. So if someone or something or a species is fit, what does it mean? Is it the strongest species or the fastest species? Is it the one with the biggest teeth? Is it the smartest one? None of that really matters. Now, there may be some combination of those things that make up fitness, but what we really mean is that species is fit for the environment it finds itself in. And so humans, we've been very good at just surviving. We're not the strongest species. We're not the fastest. But we have certain advantages that we've become so successful, we've actually kind of broken out of that survival pressure that other species find themselves under. And so in that sense, we're very fit for our environment. So fitness, I think, is this very nebulous term. I hope that kind of clarifies what I mean by fitness. When we had this discussion here at the gym, I have to admit, I've had this discussion dozens of times with people. And every time I have it, the same objections are brought up to me about what they think fitness is. And it's difficult for me to be patient with it because I hear the same objections coming up that I've heard a dozen times, and I just kind of want to hand wave and say, yeah, I've heard it before. This is why I think that's incorrect. And that can make people feel like I'm dismissing them and not listening to them, and I am in that sense, and I need to do better about that. But I think one of the biggest issues that came up with this discussion, particularly this time, is related to that, and that is we need to define our terms up front. So words are used in different contexts in different ways. And if we don't define those terms and how we use them, how we think about them up front, we're going to talk past each other and people get frustrated, which is kind of what happened. But like I said here at the beginning, the whole conversation came up because we were talking about CrossFit and the person winning the CrossFit Games being called the fittest on earth. And that became this discussion. What exactly is fitness, and is that fair? And here's why it's kind of a big deal to me, and why I get a little defensive about CrossFit calling their athletes the fittest on earth and calling CrossFit their competitive fitness and those sort of things. And that's because it's kind of a dirty marketing trick. What they're doing is they're equating fitness with CrossFit. And so if you don't do CrossFit, you can never become the fittest on earth. And then you run into people who have done CrossFit or who do CrossFit, and they also equate fitness with CrossFit. And so they think that fitness is just being able to do all these different activities and be able to at least do them in some level whenever they come up, being ready for anything and any event. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to people who we would consider fit for their sport. If their sport is sprinting or throwing or swimming or any of these other events where these athletes are incredibly fit. They may not physically look like it. It may not be exactly what you would think of if someone were to ask you to define what fitness is, but they're fit for their purpose. And I think that's a much better definition of fitness. Otherwise, we're just so vague. Now, I really think that CrossFit, if they were honest, they would call their champions the winner of the CrossFit Games. CrossFit Games champion. That's what pretty much any other sport does. So they've kind of co-opted that word fitness and made it synonymous with CrossFit. I think it's manipulative. I think it's kind of a dirty marketing trick, whether they meant to or not. I think we need to be aware of that and understand that's what it is, and that's what they were probably shooting for, is to have that association. And to kind of monopolize fitness like that. So just a little rant from me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.